She thought the freedom would feel exciting, even healing. She imagined a new beginning, a fresh identity, a life where she finally put herself first. But now she's 42, wide awake at 2 in the morning, quietly scrolling through her ex-husband's photos, seeing him smile in ways she hadn't seen since their early years together. He's traveling more, taking better care of himself, exploring the world with someone new, and the sight hits her harder than she expected. Because deep down, she realizes she helped build the version of him he finally became. Only she isn't the one who benefits from it. What she thought would be freedom now feels like an unexpected loss, one she never prepared herself for. Many women imagine life after divorce as a fresh adventure, especially in their 40s. They picture independence, long-awaited peace, and emotional clarity. But the reality often arrives in quiet, uncomfortable moments. Empty Friday nights, the absence of someone to share small routines with, or the realization that starting over isn't as glamorous as it seemed in daydreams. The regret doesn't come like a single wave. It creeps in slowly, hidden inside silence, loneliness, and comparisons they never expected to make. The truth is that divorce for some women over 40 doesn't immediately bring the relief they hoped for. Instead, it often brings a series of unexpected lessons that appear one after another. And those lessons can be harsh, not because life is cruel, but because expectations didn't match reality. For years, some women imagine a different version of their lives, more exciting, more passionate, more fulfilling. They tell themselves that the routine of marriage is the problem, that the quiet moments mean something is wrong, that another life, somewhere out there, is waiting for them. But after the paperwork settles and the chaos fades, they find themselves confronting a different kind of silence. A silence that asks, was the marriage the problem? Or was the dissatisfaction something deeper? One of the most painful realizations comes when they see their ex improving after the separation. The man they once called unmotivated starts taking care of his health. The partner they thought was distant becomes warm and expressive with someone new. The husband they once criticized begins living the life they hoped he would live, but with another woman who appreciates those qualities. And that realization stings because it forces a difficult question. Why couldn't he become that version of himself with me? Often, it's not because he didn't try. For many men, repeated criticism drains effort. Constant conflict dims enthusiasm. Feeling unappreciated takes away motivation, not because the woman meant harm, but because both partners were trapped in emotional cycles neither knew how to escape. But once the marriage ends, the clarity begins. And in that clarity, some women realize they weren't just leaving the marriage, they were leaving behind the version of themselves they never resolved. Dating in the 40s brings its own set of surprises. Many expect the same attention they received in their 20s and early 30s. The excitement, the options, the confidence. But the landscape has changed. The dating world has shifted. And the pool of emotionally stable, ready-to-commit partners is much smaller than they imagined. Men their age often look for peace, warmth, and emotional stability more than anything else. They aren't impressed by achievements alone. They are drawn to connection, kindness, and compatibility. Some women enter dating believing their independence and success will naturally attract high-quality partners. But independence is something they admire in themselves, not necessarily what men prioritize in relationships. A connection built on emotional compatibility matters more than titles, degrees, or material accomplishments. And many women don't learn this until they are already navigating the dating world again. The self-perception gap becomes clearer. Some women carry standards shaped by their younger years, standards influenced by the attention they once received, not the reality they face now. It's not entitlement, it's outdated expectations. But these expectations collide with a dating world that has changed dramatically. They reject men who would genuinely care for them because they don't match the excitement or fantasy they imagined. Stability feels boring. Consistency feels predictable. And yet, those qualities are exactly what they later miss when they find themselves in repeated cycles of emotional ups and downs with men who aren't serious. Loneliness is different after divorce. It's not just the absence of a partner, it's the absence of shared history, familiar routines, and emotional safety. Some women find themselves missing the small things they once overlooked. Shared dinners, light conversations, quiet mornings, or even the sense of home that only consistency brings. Friends and social circles shift as well. Married friends sometimes grow distant, not intentionally, but because their lifestyles no longer align. Single friends may have different priorities, and the woman who once had a stable community suddenly finds herself rebuilding from the ground up. Financial changes add another layer. Life becomes more expensive. Responsibilities that were once shared become hers alone. The comfort of dual income disappears. The relief she expected from independence becomes overshadowed by the weight of practical reality. Then comes the emotional comparison, seeing her ex thrive, watching him travel, improve, grow, and flourish. Not because he didn't love her, but because the marriage drained them both in ways they didn't understand at the time. His growth feels personal, even when it isn't. His happiness feels like a reflection of her mistakes, even when it's simply the natural transition of life. But here is the core truth many eventually realize. The regret isn't always about losing him. It's about losing the version of themselves they never fixed. The expectations they carried into dating again, the unresolved emotions they carried out of the marriage, the dissatisfaction that didn't disappear after leaving because it wasn't caused by the relationship alone. Regret settles in not as punishment, but as clarity. Clarity about what stability really meant, what partnership truly requires, and what they took for granted while searching for something better. When the regret becomes overwhelming, many want to go back, but the door is closed. The ex has moved on, healed, rebuilt. The version of him they wanted exists now, just not for them. And the hardest part is realizing he wasn't the obstacle to her happiness. Her expectations were. Her unhappiness followed her because it lived inside her, not inside the marriage. Some women eventually confront this truth with grace. They learn from it. They grow through it. They rebuild themselves from the inside out, and they find peace not through chasing someone new, but by healing the parts of themselves they once ignored. These are the women who rise stronger than ever. But others avoid accountability and repeat the cycle, choosing partners who mirror their unresolved trauma, chasing excitement instead of stability, convincing themselves that happiness is always somewhere else. The real message is simple. Before leaving a marriage, it's important to understand what you're actually walking away from. Not just the partner, but the stability, the history, the emotional safety, and the version of yourself you might not have realized needed healing. Some 40-plus women leave believing the world will suddenly open for them, but instead they discover parts of themselves they never wanted to face. And the regret that comes isn't just about losing a man. It's about realizing that sometimes the life they walked away from wasn't the problem. It was the expectations they carried with them. So tell me, have you ever seen someone realize the truth too late? Or learned a lesson only after walking away? Share your story below.